Hey everyone, it's Matt along with Goo, and today we're going to talk about Hyunckel. Stay tuned and see how interesting he is. And let me tell you, he has some very unique skills, but is he worth it? Stay tuned. All right, our second hero is a very interesting ZAM physical unit. Leadership effect has some ability, but honestly, Dice is just so much better. Leadership is increased and physical power by 20%. Hyunckel has Hurt Slash, just like Die. A very good first skill. Actually, might be the best first skill I've really seen on any units other than obviously Die. Second skill is Fighting Demon Hand. Zam type physical damage to all enemies and occasionally will stun. Another really good overall skill. And the last one is Bloody Scribe. Inflicts 280% Zam physical damage to all enemies. Personally, this is a fairly disappointing skill. Fighting Demon Hand, I wish was better, but the MP consumption is fairly high. The only positive here is an AoE that has low MP costs, but Bloody Scribe and overall Hyunckel has very low damage potential considering the that it's a physical attack hero. Um, but, and this is a big but, First Awakening skill. When HP goes to zero, it will sometimes get what we call guts and stay at 1 HP. So he can be an undying hero. And this is can be a very frustrating and a very powerful skill. If you get lucky, you can have him survive even when you should lose. And his awakening skill 22 and 4 is all resistances are up 5%. The third one is physical power 5% and gives 10% more immortal man, which is the when HP goes to zero, and the same thing for the fifth, which gives him a pretty decent chance of surviving. So he is very much an RNG unit, but he has fairly high resistances, but he has fairly low damage potential. Um, and all in all, from a unit standpoint, he is a little disappointing from here on out because I would have rather have had him be a with this skill set having more debuffs than what he currently has, and because he's a hero, you can't give him another debuff. I would have loved to have seen with Bloody Scribe maybe even 250% Zam with a tack down or something. Or, we have a stun, maybe a spell lock or something there, or other interesting debuffing. If that was the case, he would be a very powerful unit. But because of that, he definitely is knocked down a decent amount, and overall, in short, a little disappointing. His stats, you look at his stats are pretty good. Good HP, good MP, and defense. So the HP and defense are fairly high. It's just that his skills aren't as powerful, and he doesn't have the ability like Dai does to really amplify his attacks by manipulating his HP. Instead, his HP can be manipulated from dying, which is in its own power effect, and is very hard to really get a absolute detailed and consistent thing on Hyunckel. Um, he could be a very annoying enemy to fight because of his ability to revive, or I shouldn't say revive, to not die. Um, but he is relatively slow with his movement of two. He has some range, but I just wish he had a little bit more utility for the lack of damage that he has. Preferred weapon, it says armor sword. Um, you really want to boost the deadly bloody scry power as much as you can, and his amp physical power as well. That's why it's so important for him to get his sword. Um, all in all, you really need to pump up his attack and damage capabilities to really get him to excel. Is he a bad unit? No, he's definitely not a bad unit. But out of the banners here, I do think Dai is overall much better. His hero skill, he this is castable on turn 2 once again, or and it can be used 2 times, and it is a fairly long line. The damage is pretty good at 380% to all enemies, and it greatly lowers defense power for 3 turns. And I'm definitely very much okay with this skill. I think this skill actually is really powerful, especially from turn 2 and beyond. The big issue that I do have, though, in all honesty, is that this is defense power when he's already got defense power. Now, this is a greatly lower, so it is a much more severe defense power for 3 turns. And with the way that he could survive, especially in PvE or, even in Arena on turn 3, because he'll be one of the last units most likely to be attacking on turn 2. He will really hurt the whatever enemies are left with this, and then you can be able to clean up a lot easier. So there is a lot of good things about this skill, and overall the defense down that he can keep on using over and over again. I just wish that other than the stun, that he had at least one other ability to be able to do. Even if it wasn't lowering attack, like lowering agility or lowering, magic or something, that would have just really bumped him up to another tier. But in my mind, he is a tier below Die. So will I pull for him? He has incredibly high resistance to everything but sap. Um, he is a much more offensive version of Gem Slime in that regards. He has the ability to survive attacks that normally would kill him, and the stats are pretty positive overall. Um, as I say, he is a tank that doesn't have a draw or provoke ability. If he had a cover skill or something else, then all of a sudden he goes from an attack unit to the best tank in the game and a must get. Um, what I'm hoping for is that when we get a talent blossom from Hyunckel, that he will get an ability to do a cover or something, because it makes sense with the kit that he has, or something that gives him another very nice lowering stat ability. If that happens, then I think his usefulness and utility goes way up. But the lube movement and not the most effective attacker are a little bit larger than just paper cuts. Like Dies are, he's got some annoyances that you got to play with them, but he will always have some type of attack buff on him. But if you get him in the sweet spot, he becomes very, very powerful. Um, Hyunckel, though, does not have that ability. And instead, he is just a consistent attacker that is very tanky, unless if you're, you've got Zap, and if you're playing against a unit that has Zap, he will be hurt pretty bad. Um, and he's also not as resistant to all of the debuffs like Gem Slime is. But overall, he does have some very good resistances, and that death prevention is great. But personally, I think Die is the better unit, at least right now. Once again, I think Hyunckel is a very interesting unit. has some very nice things about his kit. He just feels a little incomplete for me. And by incomplete, compared to the units that we have had and some of the units that are coming out in JP in the last month and a half, it does seem to be relatively incomplete overall. I know he is a fan favorite. They did not do him wrong. So just, you know, I have some negative implications to Hyunckel, but he is not a bad unit. He's just not as good as the previous units that we've had and Die specifically. And I'm going to be honest, I feel that the Die event units are disappointing in general, except for Die. Um, and they feel semi incomplete. Once again, maybe a good talent bloom will unlock one of them to become incredibly powerful, aka what they did with Elena. And I could definitely see this with Yonkel if they do something to make him better. Um, so if you like the unit, go ahead. He will be useful. He's just not as powerful as Jessica, Dual Magus, and actually not as powerful as Die. So if you like the unit and want to go for him, definitely go for him. But personally, if you want a Die unit, I think you should go to Die. And the several units here is once again going to be Popp. I covered this with the Die. Personally, I think he is one of the best A units in the game. He would probably be ranked really high up there if he was free, since he is part of the gotcha. And people might disagree with this. I think he might be the best gotcha A unit in the game. So if you get a couple of him with Die, getting one or two more to max out Popp is definitely not a bad thing. His biggest weakness is he is squishy, but in the anime and the game, if you've played Die in the gotcha game that came out a few months ago, he is definitely that fits him. It really fits his character. Otherwise, he does have some wonderful frizzle and sizzle damage, and has a non-elemental death blow, and is a very good a unit overall because he will also get extra movement on his first turn. So he's great for those times where you need an A unit in arena, especially. As I believe he fits well in there. So I hope you guys enjoy. I will be late with the Die overview for the event. Life and work has really taken its toll. I will start working on that tonight. I hope to have it up Saturday morning. But the good news is as long as the maintenance and everything fits well and gets done early, I will be able to use that time to actually go through the event instead. So there will be some positives for me to being a little late on that, but I do apologize. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. I will see you guys later. You guys have a wonderful night and good luck.